would like to report out with respect to discipline. I would read the following message. The acting chief has advised me that he has completed the review of the report and has received his findings. He is now preparing to notify the officers of his findings. As previously stated by state law, Penal Code Section 832.7, these actions are confidential. Any results of these findings that are not confidential will be announced to the public as soon as legally possible. The notifications are going out now regarding discipline, and as those scaly hearings take place, we will report back to the community to the full extent of the law that allows us to do so regarding those disciplinary actions. The second item I wish to report out in terms of closed session is with respect to the civil litigation matters involving the Thomas family. Civil claims have been filed by both Mr. and Mrs. Thomas regarding the death of Kelly Thomas. On a 5-0 vote of the City Council this evening, the City Council approved a settlement of the case involving Kathy Thomas. I've been asked to report that out, which includes a settlement of the sum of $1 million. Kathy Thomas, through her attorney Brian Gerwitz, and the City of Fullerton, through its attorney Dana Fox, jointly announced the resolution of Mrs. Thomas's potential civil claims against the City of Fullerton and the police officers involved in the July 5, 2011 incident and the death of Kelly Thomas. The settlement came about after Mr. Gerwitz inquired of the city about the possibility of exploring early resolution of Kathy Thomas's potential legal claims against the city and its police officers. This inquiry led to Kathy Thomas and her counsel in the City of Fullerton and its counsel attending a voluntary, non-binding mediation before mediator Andrew Albert. After lengthy discussions and considerations of the issues in this matter, Mr. Albert made a proposal to Mrs. Thomas and the City of Fullerton for the resolving of all potential claims of Mrs. Thomas arising from the tragic death of her son. Mrs. Thomas and the city both elected to accept the proposal made by the mediator. Pursuant to that mediated settlement, in exchange for the payment of $1 million by the city to Mrs. Thomas has chosen to forego pursuing her potential claims against the city and its police officers arising from the death of her son. Resolution of Mrs. Thomas's claim at this time allows her to begin the healing process and avoid what would likely be protracted, expensive, and difficult civil litigation. That's the press release, and that press release will be available outside to those who are interested. Let me also indicate, as a condition of that settlement, her attorney Brian Gerwitz is here this evening and is asked to make a statement to the City Council and to the community as a whole regarding the settlement of this case. Mr. Gerwitz, I don't know Mr. Gerwitz.
Thomas, I wanted to say a few words about today's settlement, if I may.
Excuse me, can you put the mic so there you go. Thank you.
Sure. And I'll also have a comment to these outside for me as well, with the remarks. First of all, my client, as was indicated before, is hopeful that the settlement today helps her to continue the healing. At the hands of rogue police officers is an indescribable horror. There's nothing this council could ever do to compensate her for the loss she suffered. But throughout the settlement discussions in this case, my client and her family have been treated with great respect by the city's representatives, including Dana Fox, who's representing the city in connection with Kelly Thomas's death. She is grateful for the dignity she's been shown throughout this process and for the personal comfort and support she's received from members of this council, as well as Acting Police Chief Dan Hughes. People in positions of power need to understand the importance of treating others with dignity. This principle is illustrated so well by the video that was made public last week. People can debate the legal significance of each officer's conduct forever. But one thing that no reasonable person could dispute is that Manuel Ramos' utter disregard for Kelly Thomas's dignity is precisely what set in motion the chain of events that led to his death. This is the important lesson my client hopes people will always remember about this case. If Manuel Ramos had treated Kelly with even the slightest degree of dignity, his death never would have occurred. My client is not here today and respectfully asks that she not be contacted by the media or the public with questions about the settlement. She will continue to appear at proceedings in the criminal case and at public events honoring her son. But she is a deeply private person and prefers to avoid the understandable media spotlight that this case has generated. Thank you very much.
audience, for those watching on TV. This has been heart-wrenching watching the video last week. It's been a challenging week, challenging year, and with that, we want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your comments, but we also want you to hear others' comments. We want you to follow the decorum of our council, and we ask you to be able to listen to others, make sure that everybody can speak and that we maintain order tonight. And with that, we will begin our public comments.
If speakers 1 through 5 would like to line up along the wall, except for number 1 and 4.
I realize what Mr. Whitaker just said, but I'm requesting an extra few minutes tonight, if I may.
Second.
I will allow that for Mr. Thomas only tonight.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get my motions out of the way and get started here. It's been very emotional. The preliminary hearing was horrible. The first day was horrific. That's for the media, the public, the world. I actually found out what I've been holding inside for about 8 months. The gasps that were in the courtroom, from seasoned pros in the media to about the 45 members or so of Kelly's Army, and people in attendance, was horrifying in itself. And that was on just the first baton strike from Wolfe. When Ramos broke Kelly's ribs with a knee, the gasps were again filling the courtroom, and the judge had to stop proceedings. It was a very tough week. Very tough 3 days, as I know you can imagine. Before I read what I have started here, I do want to let everyone know that yesterday I received 2 phone calls. The first one I received was from Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones himself had a hard time talking to me, not because it's me, but because of what he had seen and experienced. I appreciate your call, sir. He let it be known that now that he has seen the video, he is also horrified by this. The same condolences came from the second call, Mr. Pat McKinley. And I thank you for calling. Mr. Bankhead, you can get my phone number for the rest of these people up here. Now that everyone has seen the evidence, this is the first time you've ever heard me use this word. I demand you see this is done to me? I can't even talk. I demand that Joe Wolfe be terminated.
Yes.
Yeah! Murderers!
I demand that Joe Wolfe be terminated immediately. He, as well as Ramos and Cicinelli, should have been suspended without pay pending further investigation from the beginning. Their actions of murdering my son were kept secret from the public.
Yes.
And condoned by Chief Sellers, Captain Hamilton, and Captain Hughes, as they watched the video many times and knew what they did. They also allowed all of the officers to remain on duty for 6 weeks until Kelly's Army raised so much hell with our protests and the actions of Bruce Whitaker. Then they were finally put on other assignments. Again, we protested so that they were finally put on paid administrative leave, and they're still getting paid, everybody.
Shame.
Because Sergeant Kevin Craig, Corporal James Blatney, Officer Kenton Hampton, and Officer Joseph Wolfe did nothing, and this is true testimony in a court of law, to provide any first aid or treatment to Kelly. Instead, when asked by the paramedics, what do we have? This is the fire captain, paramedic that walked right up to the officer and said, what do we have? Ramos showed him a scratched elbow, as referred to in the media now as his boo-boo. None of the officers said that Kelly needed help until the fire captain said, who's that? He's seen Kelly laying in the gutter in a full blood. None of these officers did anything for Kelly or even alerted paramedics that he was there. I wanted to make sure this is a true statement, so today I read through the transcripts again twice to get it accurate. Now that you, the City Council, have seen the video, you need to take charge of the city and its police department. You can no longer accept whatever the chief or acting chiefs tell you as the truth. You can no longer let the policeman's Bill of Rights stand in the way of doing what is required of you and what is morally the right thing to do. I, as well as the rest of the world, am not accepting the city's attorney's answer about Jay Cicinelli and how the city has allowed him to be hired and drive Code 3 for 10 years with one eye. The ADA, American Disabilities Act, excuse does not apply here. Common sense does. And the fact that he was hired as a favor and not by equal opportunity makes all of you guilty of violating the PD's and the city's policies and procedures. Folks, you allow this to happen and remain in effect.
Shame.
I want to peacefully move forward from here. I really do. We need to rebuild together. You've heard me say that since day one. I consider the 2 phone calls I received as positive steps of moving forward. And I will continue to do so. Kelly's Army will continue to do so. Take charge of your city, take charge of your police department, and know what they're doing, and use some common sense. Now, I know there's a lot of angry people that want to say something. There are angry people across the world. There are people on the East Coast, the Central Plains, all over America and the world listening to what I am saying right now. They are watching this on a live feed. Everything that has to do with this city from now on is all about you, because I really think you're going to start taking charge. I would really hope so. Thank you.